Hello, it's Daryl at Good Attitude Services, 10-foot truck, and I just got back from a pretty long drive, delivering some furniture, and absolutely no labor involved. It was just backing up to the freight center warehouse where it's a freight company. They just forklift the pallet. It's all in the box. It's on the pallet, and then I just drove. Of course, I had to drive out in the country, but I got to see some cool areas, very beautiful areas. Ended up out on a native reservation area, so a very pristine wilderness, rivers and beautiful scenery. So, and I hadn't been out there. Kind of wanted to go check that area out, so it was worth the drive. So in that sense, when you're just doing the driving and you're going to a place that you haven't seen and a place that you want to see, it's almost like it's a benefit to not only you're getting paid and you're doing a job, but it's also it's like taking a little mini vacation. You get to see some places that you may not have seen. Like I probably wouldn't have driven out there on my own to go because gas is expensive. But when I'm doing a job, I get to go see that. So you get to see a lot of cool things when you're in the delivery business. I'm willing to go, fairly far distance from where I live. Not too far, but I'll go like 150 miles out of my area, depending on what it is, and but I will go that far. That's about as far as I go. I think the furthest I've gone, I did a job last year. I went about 300 miles out. I generally don't do that. I try to stick within a 150 mile range, but so I haven't seen all my area because I haven't been here that long. So the area is really nice. So I looked at some places that would really be nice to live out near that reservation area, where if you're into living into wilderness areas or more rural area. Of course, now it wouldn't make any sense because to run what a business that I'm doing makes more sense to be in a metro area. So, but for now, but maybe later on down the road. It was very cool to go. The customers are nice. In fact, I backed up to their place. It was still icy and snowy out there. It was pretty high elevation, but I was able to get my truck in there, and customer did all the work. I just moved the boxes out of the truck, and he did all the work. So he loaded in his house. So all I did was do the drive. So in that sense, there was no labor involved. So it was just like a nice drive and a nice day too. The weather's nice. It's a little cloudy, but there's still some blue skies. So all in all, it was a great day. I'm glad to be back out on the road. I had to have some dental work last week, so I wasn't able to do any kind of lifting. I had to get one of my teeth extracted, and I have to get ultimately I'm going to get some kind of what do you call it? Not a false tooth. I'm going to get I'm looking for a ceramic. God, I can't think of the name of it, because they have them that are metal where you screw them in. I'm gonna have to talk to a dentist about it. I know they're expensive, so I'm not gonna do it right away. But my tooth had been bad for many years, going back to all the way back when I was 21. I had an accident where I ended up smashing my front tooth, and it damaged it so bad that they had to basically bond it together, and the bonding lasted for a long time. I mean, that was like 36 years ago. Yeah, like 36 years ago, because I'm 57. So yeah, it was 36 years ago. I had that busted out, and the dentist would always try to get it rebonded. And the last x-rays I did just recently, last week, when I felt it was getting loose, the dentist, he's like, I can't do anything to help that. You're gonna have to remove that. So right away they did an emergency removal. It only took like 3 days or something. They removed it before because that stuff, when it's like that bad, it could get, I'm assuming it's not going to be good to keep that kind of tooth in there. So I had to get it out. And he's going to do some more dental work, and then I haven't had dental work in a long time. And then I think, that's what I was, an implant. Sorry, that's what they call it. I don't know if they're ceramic or they're that's what I'd like to get, some kind of implant. For now, I think I'm just going to get a flipper, so that so at least I have a tooth there, so it's easier to talk, because it makes it harder to talk when you don't have that tooth there. So that was what I did last couple of days. Of course, I couldn't do any heavy lifting with that extraction. So today I was able to get out and drive. It wasn't heavy lifting, so I could drive, so it wasn't a big deal. Like, I probably wouldn't do a moving job going up 3 flights of stairs until like my mouth heals a little bit better. Where you want to get that healed, so you don't want to ruin that. So I'm not going to do any heavy lifting. I did get a call for a moving job coming up, but still a little bit. Maybe if it's next week I could do it. I don't want to do any really heavy lifting for now, for the next couple of days. Just driving. Driving's fine. So I'm glad to have gotten that job. It took pretty much most of the day. It's about a 6-hour drive I did. It's 3 hours up, 3 hours back. The pay was good. There's a lot of, the thing about this area is where I live, there's a lot of warehouses and a lot of shipping, because we're kind of out on the main highway, but we're out a little bit, kind of isolated from other big cities. But it's a very main shipping area. We're going back and forth, and there's trains that come through here. And anyone who lives in the outskirts, which is a lot of little towns around where I live. I live in a medium-sized city, but there's a lot of little towns all the way around it that get stuff shipped in. Like, for instance, this customer wasn't able to get their items because of the time of year. I guess that warehouse, they only drive the semi trucks. When they deliver, they use the semi trucks. Well, semi trucks are not allowed to go. From what I understand, they weren't allowed to go out there at this time, so they had to wait. So they were lucky to find me, because I have a small truck where that comes in handy for people who have stuff waiting in the warehouse and they needed to get out, somewhere where it's pretty far away. It's not convenient for them to come in to pick that up, and they have to wait too long. So I've had that a couple times. I guess you would call that expediting. That's, I think, the word for it, where the warehouse will have an item. They could have a shipping date, but the shipping date may be way out in the future because of certain conditions or certain reasons. It makes it harder for them to get their items that week, that day, whatever, that month. Sometimes they wait several months. Say you have to wait 2 months or whatever, or 2 weeks, whatever it is. It's always out in the future. Whereas an expediter will be contacted. Of course, they contacted me through my ad, but there are expediters that go through brokers and stuff like that. Expeditors usually drive really long distance. That's not really a long distance for me, going like over 100 miles. That's pretty short distance, but it's still expediting because you're making sure that customer gets that item as soon as they need it, as soon as you can get it out there, as opposed to having a wait time. Or, like, I've had that even with appliance deliveries, where a guy will buy a set of appliances and be like, well, we can't get that for 2 weeks, at least, minimum 2 weeks. And they need a stove or whatever because theirs is broken, so they'll call me and I'll just take it out there that day or the next day. So that's what that was, and that's kind of what I focus on is, you call me to get that item out as soon as you can, as soon as I'm available. You're not gonna have to wait that long. And there's a lot of warehouses I've done that around here for furniture and that kind of thing, where it sits in the warehouse until their trucks can get out. Usually it's larger trucks, and that's why it makes it difficult in some areas when these shipping companies using an 18-wheeler big rig, and maybe they're limited on certain times to go out there. So I'm trying to market that, and that's part of my business is to expedite things one-off, just like a one pallet, or 2 or 3 items, not a big load. Because a lot of these delivery companies, what they do is they have a huge they're going to have a big rig 18-wheeler. Sorry, my throat. Get a little scratchy throat. I guess it kind of. Sorry, maybe I need a drink of water, but so that's why I sound like that right now. I'm not getting sick or anything. It's just it's kind of dry out. It's been cold. It's been pretty cold and like dry air, so I get that dry throat. I think cold air. Still relatively cold, even though it's nice out. Yeah, there's no rain or snow right now. That's what I meant by that. But so a bigger truck like a semi, they're gonna of course do multiple loads. That's why they have to schedule it out. And same with like a big 26-foot box truck. I used to do that and I used to do the big rigs and the big box trucks. You're doing multiple loads, and you're scheduling it as the load comes from here to there to the end. And you have to pick a day, like say a Tuesday or Thursday, and they have to do a window, maybe all day window or whatever it is, to receive those goods. Where I don't have to do that with this truck, you can go, I'll take that item there like in an hour or tomorrow or today. So you don't have to do that with a smaller truck when it comes to if the customer requesting that. So that's kind of the way most of those delivery companies work. They're not going to do those small short loads for the most part. It's not really worth their time. They really have to schedule it out. They have to schedule it. That's the way their business runs. So I'm just taking that slack by having a smaller truck and doing those one-off loads. I think that's kind of where I'm marketing and trying to get people, customers to respond to that, because it's just when you fill in that gap and you give a customer that option, it makes it easier for them. And of course, the thing about expediting, or that's what I call it, is of course you're going to charge probably. I don't charge more. I don't really know what these delivery companies. I don't know what like these big delivery companies that deliver for Lowe's or deliver for big shipments. I don't know what they're charging, so I can't really tell you what the difference is. I try to give the customer the most reasonable value that I can, but I know sometimes it can be more expensive than if, like, say for instance, if I've had people call me from like Fred Meyer. I don't know what their delivery charges are there. I've never asked, but I know they must be having to wait for that delivery company I don't know if they're contracting to come to their house, because they'll call me and whatever I charge, I don't know. I wish I knew the difference. I charge them a fair price though. But so I get calls from like that, like Fred Meyer. I've had calls from appliance stores and then like warehouses and that kind of thing. So someday I'm gonna have to look into the costs, because I don't know. I'm just going by, when I generate my costs or my fees, I go by mileage, time, and if it's heavy and if it's something that I have to do the labor to unload it. If it's a curbside, it's going to be much more reasonable than having to load it up 3 flights of stairs or something like that. So like today, there was no labor involved. It was basically they load it with a forklift. I get to the customer's house, he unloads it. So I have no labor involved. So I don't charge for labor on that, because labor is an extra cost. Whereas driving, it's per mileage. I have to calculate the mileage, get a certain dollar per mile, and then I'll look at the distance and the time and the gas. The fuel, you have to figure out how much fuel you're going to pay and deduct that fuel, and then how much per hour you want for driving. I mean, I don't tell the customer this. I just kind of come up with a cost and give them the price, and then they agree to the price or not. I don't want to get into the details, but that's how I do it. I look at the miles, I look at where I'm going, I figure out the time, the amount of fuel, and I want a certain amount per mile to cover all the costs, and then give me a certain amount over the top of the cost that I feel is fair for my time. And everyone's time, everyone has a different price on that. I'm trying to be as reasonable as possible, but not be undercharged. I want to charge fairly, but I also want a good fair price for myself for doing that and having the truck. So that's how I worked that. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing. I hope to get more of those. Probably going to put up another ad here very soon, and but not any hard labor any heavy moving labor for the next couple of days. Something to take it easy for now. As my tooth heals, and I'm going to look into when I can get that appointment to get that implant thing. So that's about all it goes today. Good Attitude Services, 10-foot truck. Have a great day. Thank you.